Presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 and use the promo code WELCOME. Welcome, one and all, to Light Years. Sam Sfandiari here. I got Tommy across from me. If you're watching live on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate everyone supporting the show. We're live after the second half of the back-to-back against Minnesota here. Big picture, if you told me they were going to go 1-1 in Minnesota, given current state of the team, post Jimmy, with everyone sitting the second night, I'd be like, yeah, take it. I thought yesterday's game was super encouraging. There were some positives take from it. And tonight, look, no Steph, no Draymond, no Melton. Melton's probably the second best player on this team, if we're honest. Yep. Mm-hmm. No Horford. They were struggling with all those guys to generate enough offense. I knew it was going to be ugly without them. So I'm not going to really overreact to this right now. This is just a bizarre time to be a Warriors fan. Mm-hmm. You know, I kind of want to talk about a couple things on the game, but it's not lost on me. We are 7 days removed from Jimmy tearing his knee last Monday night. It feels so much longer ago.
Yeah.
It's bizarre because I feel like they had all the momentum in the world. Yeah. Season now is on life support. And yet at the same time, we get this trade deadline coming in 11 days? Yeah, not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So it does feel like while everything related to the Jimmy injury is a gut punch and it sucks, and I think we all really enjoyed him as a player and how well he fit and, all the positive stuff there. It's like there might be a lifeline coming in the next 10 to 12 days. This is just like my long-winded way of saying this is just a weird period right now. Like I'm not ready to go full defeatist, sim to, July, simulate the whole thing in July yet. But also I'm not over the Jimmy injury in any capacity. It's hard to watch this stuff and not think why did that happen? Why? So that's where it's just a weird space to be in mentally right now.
No, it definitely is. We're definitely in a little bit of a holding pattern. And just a quick apology to the people. I'm battling some bad allergies right now. My voice is going to be raspy tonight, so you're just going to have to bear with me on this one. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. It just like you said, Jimmy was such a good fit. And he was nothing but a model citizen post-trade. He was a great leader, a great teammate, and he gave us the production that the team was looking for and needed. So it's definitely still a bit shocking. But yeah, we're just kind of, it's wait and see right now. I thought obviously they looked really good last night. This was not supposed to be a back-to-back. It was supposed to be one day off in between these games, but we obviously know what happened in Minneapolis over the weekend. So you just got to take the punches as they roll. I think maybe they could have gotten both if everybody played both games. I think really the one main difference, obviously, between this team now and the team pre-Jimmy trade last year is Milton. You know what I mean? He adds a level of dynamism that allows them to, I think, be more competitive even without Jimmy relative to kind of the year prior without Jimmy. But at the end of the day, they need a trade. We know that, and we're just kind of in wait and see mode until that does potentially happen.
And I think the thing that the Jimmy injury forces a bunch of tough decisions. Before the Jimmy injury, they were starting to play better, and I thought they needed to make a move, but they had a very clear idea of what they wanted. You knew what Jimmy's role was going to be. Obviously, you know what Steph's role is going to be. Melton was coming on, so you knew you had that 2-guard spot locked in. You're really looking for a 3-and-D wing who can scale up defensively. An Andrew Wiggins, an Otto Porter, Harrison Barnes. Those are the type of players the Warriors had over the years. And you and I were talking about, we're damn, these dudes are the right trade away from legitimately being able to beat the West, And now, without Jimmy, I think, ironically, more things are on the table than were beforehand. You know what I'm saying? Because now they don't have a co-star for Steph. they don't have that secondary playmaker. I mean, Melton's been awesome, but he's not Jimmy Butler. You know, he's not the same type of player. And I think I just think way more stuff is on the table here for how you want to handle this, you know, because they need a playmaker. They still need that 3-and-D wing who can scale up. You know, Moses Moody's been awesome in January. And Will Richard's been admirable for a rookie, and Pods has played better, but like, you know, none of them are that like 6'8" two-way wing that we're looking for, right? So there's multiple things you got to look at this point. It's been a week. It feels like it's been a month. It's only been a week, and you know, it is what it is at this point. I think I'm going to be processing this until we get to the trade deadline, and if the trade deadline doesn't go my way, I might be processing it longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, just quick note on Will Richards, 6 steals tonight. That guy, he's gonna be such a good player for a long time. You know, he really gets it. Even in a game where they're getting blown out, he manages to have a pretty nice impact. And he wasn't making shots, but he's still impactful. But yeah, I think before the Jimmy injury, they didn't necessarily need a star. Now it's like you should probably try to swing for some young talent. And we can talk that over the next week or so. Like, obviously, you know, you have your Trey Murphy types, but like, do you try to buy low on a LaMelo, on a Zion, like guys in that range where it's like, get them in-house and have them ready to roll next year, whether Jimmy's on the team or not, you know, whether they decide to trade him over the summer, because obviously he's not going to be back till probably February next year. Whether they decide to keep or trade Jimmy, you need to bolster your talent. Your overall talent level now needs a real injection where it didn't necessarily before. They still needed more talent. Like if Jimmy's healthy and they get Trey somehow, I think they're as good as anybody in the league. But now, even if you trade for a Trey Murphy, you're probably still a second tier contender at best.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing with Jimmy. I think they had the luxury of being ultra rigid and being like, we don't just need anyone, we need the right fit for our system. Post Jimmy, I mean, Steph's a legend. Steph's it's insane how well he's playing at his age. Crazy. At this point, you know. But beyond that, they don't have a ton of talent. Like even all the young guys who I think have played well recently, none of them are foundational players. They're all supporting players. Without Jimmy, they need to be more open-minded on swinging on talent. You know, guys who might not be Steve Kerr guys, which I know, can't do that, you know. But I mean, but that's kind of where they're at right now. They're back in the wilderness. They're trying to find that second option. They're trying to just infuse talent into this team. And obviously, you know, we'll hit on this. It's like, duh, I'd love Giannis, you know. I would love like, you know, XYZ superstar who fits on any team in the NBA, and there's no questions about fit or any of that stuff. The reality is that's probably unlikely to happen. And they need to look at to your point, the Zions of the world. We know how talented Zion is. We know how good he can be. We also know he's been a massive disappointment the last few years. Is that the guy? Is that the guy that you get in-house, that you can rehab and, you know, get in the Celebrini program, and the next thing you know, he looks like what he was coming out of Duke when everyone's like, this guy's can't miss. This guy's a can't miss superstar, right? Yep. Like that's kind of where we're at with it. I think we're going to have 11 days here to sift through all that. But I mean, I guess the only I don't want to say it's a positive, but like this is where the Warriors being maddeningly conservative puts them in this position where they do have the assets to take a swing. Mm-hmm. They do have the ability to take a risk that maybe other teams who have taken a few more of those swings wouldn't have the ability to do. So I'm not sure what that right swing is, but you got to do it. You have Steph on your roster. He's still having a phenomenal season. Get him in the playoffs. See what you can do with that team. Like you can't just pack it up with this team and be like, we'll see you in the summer. You know, that's we can't have that.
It's inexcusable. Steph turns 38 in a month and a half. If they are serious about maximizing the rest of Steph's window, as they always say, like it's the window isn't getting longer. Like like you said, he's been tremendous this year. Probably a top 5 to 7 player in the league, which at his age is genuinely unbelievable. Like in the truest sense of the word, he's been incredible. And he really isn't showing any signs of slowing down. But like, Father Time isn't undefeated. There's a reason it's a saying. So every year that you get that still like this, you kind of just have to be like, all right, what can we do to at least give ourselves a shot? And to their credit, they did do that last year with Jimmy. You know what I like?
Mhm.
They injected more talent, and he changed the outlook of the season. If Steph doesn't pull a hamstring in, round 2, we might be telling a different story. But the point is they did take a little bit of a swing, and it was low risk. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, like you had to pay Jimmy more money, but you only gave up one first round pick and Wiggins plus salary filler. So can they find either a move like that again, or are they willing to put 3 picks on the table for Trey Murphy if the Giannis dream dies?
Let's talk Giannis.
Sure.
Because, on the one hand, I'm tempted to like roll my eyes just because the level of thirsting they've done over Giannis for 7 years, it's like, have a little shame, guys. Just have a little shame, Like, on the other hand, it would be dishonest for us to not call out the obvious thing, which is looks like Giannis could get moved this deadline. He's for sure getting moved by the summer at the latest.
Yep.
And if you buy every report, and I have no reason not to, it does seem like everything runs through Giannis. And when the Giannis situation is resolved, you could see a flurry of moves. Like the obvious one is like, and I'm not even saying this is what the Warriors should do, but something like Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Every team who wants Anthony Davis wants Giannis more for obvious reasons. He's better. But, if Giannis ends up a Knick or it doesn't matter. He ends up on a different team. Now those teams will be like, all right, let's go see if we can get Anthony Davis. Or you keep going down the line. Like for better or worse, the big fish kind of has everyone in holding pattern until it's resolved. And I'm just going to go through the stuff that came out today because this is just the stuff that's coming out publicly. The stuff you hear privately is even more noisy. Like, apparently he might fire his agent for Rich Paul. Rich Paul's trying to sell him on the fact that I get players where they want to go, which, I mean, I'm not a fan of his tactics all the time, but undeniably the Scott Boras of the NBA. He gets his clients what they want. And, if Giannis ended up going and signing with Rich Paul, it's a very clear signal to what he wants. You don't make that move. You don't get rid of your agent you've been friends with for 15 years for Rich Paul unless you have a very clear want.
Giannis has done everything but explicitly say, I want to be traded. Everything is pointing towards him being moved. And at this point, and you tweeted something to this effect today, let's just get it resolved, man, one way or another. I'm tired of this constant ring around the rosy with Giannis. Like, let's just get the situation figured out. Either make the dream a reality or kill the dream once and for all. Because it's been the same thing, like you said, ever since KD left, which is now 7 years ago.
Yeah. It's I'm just ready for resolution. Obviously, I would love him on the Warriors, as would everyone listening to this show. I don't know what I would do if the Warriors got Giannis. Can you just imagine the world where you get the notification and it's like, oh shit, Joe did it. Joe won. I would be on here apologizing to Joe. You would see a side of me. I don't know that you guys want to see that side of me, but I was thinking about it today. I was like, it would have potential to be the funniest pod of all time.
It would certainly make us eat some crow. Let's put it that way.
I'm okay. I'm okay with eating that crow. I'm gonna be honest with you.
If it's for Giannis, I'm willing to be wrong. But again, I mean, this is why they've held on to the picks for this opportunity, for the potential of this opportunity. Yeah,
we're renaming it the Lake of Beers podcast. There we go.
But no, I mean, this is why they've been holding on to the picks. So if Joe ends up looking like a genius because they have the available picks to do this, then he wins in a sense, even though you could still tell me I would have taken improved chances to win in 2023 or 2024 over waiting for Giannis, because at the end of the day,
Joe gets his victory lap. If he pulls it off, he gets his victory lap. I'll give him that.
He does get his victory lap, but at the end of the day, I still would side with building a real contender in years prior instead of waiting until Steph was 38 to go get Giannis.
All right. Be a curmudgeon. Be a curmudgeon all you want. I will say this on the Giannis sweepstakes. There's increasing evidence that the Warriors are top 3 to 5, which like they're coming in second place doesn't do anything for you. You don't get to like timeshare Giannis for 30 games a year, but if you didn't check out the last episode, KOC joined us. And if you've done some general looking or just following along on the reporting, it doesn't seem like the Thunder or the Spurs are going to get involved in the Giannis sweepstakes. And those are the two teams that if they got involved, they just simply have too much. Like, you cannot compete with their offers. They have more picks than you, better young players than you, and more cap flexibility. Like, you're not competing with them. So if those two are out, I'm not saying the Warriors have the best offer, but the teams that are going for Giannis, it's all within the realm. Like, it seems like his preference was to go to the Knicks. They don't have picks.
Yeah.
They have good players, but it sounds like they would have to do some convoluted, like Mikal Bridges and Cat to other teams to get the right package of young players and picks that the Bucks would want. Yeah, I can do that on the trade machine right now. In reality, it's actually a lot harder to pull something like that off, The Lakers are interested in, the Lakers want every star either. They don't particularly have a ton of stuff to give up. Now, that didn't stop them with Luka, apparently. But, my point is, when you start looking at these teams, I understand beyond the Warriors having like brand name and just like the most public thirst imaginable. I understand why people whose opinions I respect say they have a legitimate shot at him. Like, Sam Vecini over at Game Theory. I just checked out his most recent episode, and he was saying he thinks that they have a very realistic shot and potentially the best package for Giannis if we are to preclude, those teams like the Spurs and the Thunder with like insane draft capital, right?
Again, Joe will get his victory lap. This is why we've held on to the picks. No, but it is interesting in the sense of like, it's always felt like such pie in the sky. And now it does seem to be real. Like, this is something that could actually happen instead of the Warriors just trying to manifest it or speak it into existence or wish casting it. Like, this is something that could genuinely happen. So from that standpoint, obviously it's exciting. Like, who doesn't want a top 3 player in the league, either at or still near his peak? First ballot Hall of Famer, like, go down the list. Like, this guy. Do
you want an insane Giannis stat for the season?
Go ahead.
He has not shot below 50% from the field in a single game this year. 0.
That's
not
insane.
one. Not once has he gone 7 for 15.
That's actually crazy. I mean, that's peak Shaq stuff. It is. I mean, and that's what he is in a lot of ways. He's not the same in terms of like stylistic approach.
Well, it's a different style, but yeah, it's just.
But the way he dominates the 3 feet around the rim, it's like he's on the short list of guys ever. It's like him and Shaq and like Wilt, Yeah,
you get him in a one-on-one in some version of quasi spacing, he's scoring, or you're fouling him, one or the other. Those are really the only two things that are going to happen in those scenarios. And yeah, I mean, it would be amazing to watch him play with Steph. Like, just imagine him with like DHO with Steph, or Steph I don't need to walk you through it or the listeners through it. Like, Yeah, the guy who draws more defenders farther away from the rim and the guy who draws more defenders towards the rim playing together is just a nightmare matchup. Moses Moody, you're going to get the most open shots in the corner of all time on that type of team, you know? But putting aside the obvious of like, yes, we would like him and yes, it will work basketball wise. I'm also very excited that it seems like it could realistically happen this deadline because it's going to force Warrior action. If the Warriors don't get him, which I'm still betting is the far most likely scenario. The most likely scenario is he ends up somewhere else. They can't do the hold on to picks for Giannis thing anymore because he's gone.
Exactly.
You know, it forces them to go to plan B, plan C. And I will point this out. I hadn't thought about this till recently. Jimmy was plan B. Plan A was KD. They thought they had KD.
I mean, they did.
And then when that fell through, they pivoted to Jimmy, which like read between the lines. They could have had Jimmy for a month. They could have had Jimmy at the beginning of January if they wanted to, but they wanted to see if they could get KD, who they valued more so. And then when it didn't happen, they moved to plan B. Could the same thing happen with someone like Giannis, where obviously that's Joe's first, second, and third option? Fair. But like, you know, if it doesn't happen, does he officially go, okay, it's time to move to plan B, time to move plan C, you know? And it might even be the same thing. They might be able to get a deal done with the Bucks, and Giannis might be like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. I don't know. But either way, the finality of it will force the Warriors to move off of this pipe dream.
Yeah, and what I will say is, like, you know, I think we've all had our criticisms of the front office for one reason or another. I've certainly had mine. I don't think you can accuse them of necessarily being like ill prepared. You know what I mean? Like, they are going to have all the options. This isn't the New Orleans Pelicans with Dumars. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna have all the options on the table. They're gonna know what they can do: A, B, C, D, E, F. You know, and so if the Giannis thing falls through, they will have other things that they can quickly pivot to and get done in a shorter span of time, because they have been canvassing the league at least with the Kuminga stuff, for months and months and months now.
I mean, we didn't even mention JK, but yeah, I mean, it clearly there's a bunch of stuff going on, and I don't know. I just feel like Giannis is clearly the first domino. I'm not the first person to say that. I'm not going to be the last one, but he is the best player who is going to be moved no matter what. Like, Jokic isn't getting moved. Shea isn't getting moved. So yeah, he's the best player who's going to get moved. And everything's going to be in a holding pattern until that's done. And so from a Warriors perspective, I'm just ready for the decision to come. I'll be, if they shock the world and he ends up a Warrior, I will be the happiest person here. Yeah. But if the more likely scenario happens and they move in a different direction, then I'm ready to pivot too. I'm just ready. Like, just do something. Do something, guys. I'm ready.
Do you think he gets moved this deadline, Giannis?
I want to believe. I'm currently above 50% thinking he gets moved this deadline.
Wow.
I was gonna say I didn't think it was going to happen because of this recent injury that's probably gonna have him out till about March. But all the stuff that's coming out, the leaking of agents, the noise stuff, I think they'll move him. I think they will. I think there's a very realistic chance it happens at this deadline. It seems like both sides want to do it, and it's the real question is, do they do it now or do they do it on draft night? Let's be real. If he does not get moved today, they're going to be negotiating a trade, and it'll be announced at like the draft or at the beginning of free agency.
Yeah, I mean, that's above 50%. That's obviously substantial. But again, man, I want a resolution to the situation, and and to be clear, they should move him. They should. It's over. They don't have any cap flexibility. They've traded a lot of their picks. They don't have the ability to build a contender around him anymore, unless they want to swing on like Zach LaVine, but that still doesn't cross the line.
Building a contender. That's getting him out of the plan.
Right. But yeah, exactly. So like they'd still need another move or two, and they don't have the assets to make that happen. So it's time. I mean, he won a title there. He's stamped he'll be a legend forever. I know he probably wanted to do the Dirk or the Steph thing or the Kobe thing where you stay with one franchise forever, but that's just not in the cards for most guys, no matter how loyal or like, how great
Or
of a player
like
you
just
are.
look at what's going on with Steph right now. Like
Right?
you do the one franchise thing, you're gonna eventually get stuck in a situation like this because of factors that are beyond your control.
Right.
So
100%. 100%. All right, let's take a quick break and then we will we'll get some guests on after the break, huh?
yeah, I was gonna say if you are watching live, I just dropped the link. It's pinned in the chat. Call in.
All right. Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here. And there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get paid on any football action before next season. Tough one for my Rams on Sunday, but if they're going to lose to somebody, I'm not mad that it was Sam Darnold and these Seahawks. I mean, Darnold is one of the better stories in sports right now. He's been incredible this year. I mean, guy was left for dead, total buzz. So I'm going to be going more on anything that's Sam related in the Super Bowl, kind of trying to wish cast a win for the Seahawks, even though it is a division rival. I think it's just such a cool story. Like the whole redemption arc it's nuts. I mean, the guy was again left for dead. He got traded to Carolina, and he couldn't even beat out PJ Walker for the starting job in Carolina. Now he's quarterbacking a team to the Super Bowl. It's crazy, but that whole team it's not just Sam. Obviously, that defense is incredible. I'd be looking at Drake May fumbles. Those have been he's turned the ball over a bunch this postseason. That Seattle defense flies around. So those are the two areas I'm looking. I'm be looking to take them more on any Sam stats. Then I'm probably going to go more on some Drake May turnovers. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win. So download the app today and use code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
It is good to be right. You know what else is good? Getting your physical fitness in shape. Guys, I've told you about our friends at Body Specs for about a year now, and I just want to remind you, the number one way to get yourself back on track is to be honest with where your body's at. And it's not the 1970s. We're a little more advanced than just standing on the scale. So get a DEXA scan. What's a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate method of measuring your body's composition. Lean muscle mass, body fat percentage, visceral fat, the fat around your organs, all the stuff you hear like pro athletes do that give you a more diagnostic read of what's really going on underneath the hood of your body. And what I love about our friends at Body Spec is they've made it affordable for everyone. So with the code LIGHTYEARS45, you can get a DEXA scan for only $45. Traditionally, this has been a $200, $300, $500 thing. But Body Spec has made it affordable for all. Guys, the code LIGHTYEARS45, get a DEXA scan for $45. Start your fitness journey. Locations in San Francisco and LA. Mobile vans will come to you. It's a no-brainer. All right, let's get to it. We got a couple people want to call in. What's up, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm calling all the way in South Africa, and this is the first time I get to join, so I'm really happy about that.
But we appreciate the support, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What time? What time is it? What time is it in South Africa right now?
It's like 7:30 in the morning.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing a morning run to fix my girl's car, so I'm driving. Nice. So if you guys ever need a goon in Cape Town or you're visiting, I'm here for you. Yeah.
We'll keep that in mind.
Andy, before you dismiss my comment, I know you said you'd rather tank on the Karl Anthony Towns proposal, but I've got another idea that I've been thinking about, because if we get Giannis, we're really reliant on two superstars again who are really fragile, and if we lose Giannis to an injury, we're really there. I've got this idea, and please dismiss it when I'm done. I really think that we could use Kuminga's trade and get a pick from Sacramento. And yes, the dread of getting DeMar, but I personally believe that DeMar does most of what Jimmy does. A little worse on defense, but a little more aggressive on offense. Then you take the Jimmy Butler contract, you go to New Orleans and you take all their wings. So the trade is Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, and Sadiq Bey for Jimmy's contract works. You throw the
Ooh.
picks, and then we become a little deeper. We get a little more bigger in terms of positional size off the bench, and you've got Steph, DeMar doing the playmaking that we tried with Chris Paul and Schroeder, but also limiting our size. He does a Jimmy impersonation. It's not as good as Jimmy, but we've got Murphy at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and Post at the 5. Then we've got Herb and Sadiq Bey coming off the bench with Will and GP2. So I really like that. It doesn't put us as OKC, but I like the depth because if we go Giannis and he tweaks something, we're right back where we started. Yeah, that's mine.
I do think the injury point with Giannis is a good one. He has not been the healthiest guy over the past 3 to 4 seasons, and that doesn't figure to necessarily improve as he gets older, just because injuries come more often as you get older, and he plays such a physical brand of basketball. Like he is always an ankle tweak away, a calf strain. He had the knee injury in the playoffs back in 2021 when they actually did win it, but he missed the first round series a couple years ago. As far as the trade itself goes, I don't hate it. I think I'm maybe a little bit higher on the DeMar fit than other people are. He's not a world beater by any means, but if you have him in the right role, he can be very useful. Like you said, he really is a very good shot creator. Scores the ball well from the mid range, gets to the free throw line, underrated passer. But I wouldn't want him to be a starter per se, but like I could see him playing a super bench role. And then obviously if you're getting all those wings from New Orleans, that's a boon. I really think it is.
I will say this. I've been pretty opposed to DeMar. But if you can find a way to use DeMar to get a pick out of Sacramento, and then that gives you a little more ammunition to go get a Trey Murphy, I don't think you can do all of it. I mean, that seems a little pie in the sky. But now I'm into that because that's creative. Because it's not that DeMar can't help this team. I just like the idea of, Jimmy got hurt and we got DeMar and we're just going to pretend it's the same thing.
No.
Is like why bother, But if that's your vehicle to get an asset that lets you get that young player you want, I'm intrigued by it. Is it feasible? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm definitely intrigued by it, and I'm definitely intrigued by the possibility of adding DeMar in the context of him not being the only addition. Because you are right. I agree with both of you. He can help this team. Every time Steph goes to the bench and they struggle to literally dribble, you can't lie to me and say DeMar wouldn't help them. Would not help them. Just have someone to play some offense through a little bit there. So I'm intrigued by it. The honest point is also fair. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about that. 4 calf strains in the last year and a half. Like, it's not great. It's not great at all. But I don't know. These are, to me, like, these are the type of things that they need to start. They should be thinking about, because in a post-Jimmy world, they need to be way more open-minded about different constructs and being a little more outside the box.
Yeah, I mean, a DeMar move is similar to, I don't know, trading for like a Wiggins or a Claxton. By itself, if that's the only thing you do at the deadline, that's disappointing. It's not enough. But if it's in conjunction with other moves, I think it can be helpful if it's deployed in the right manner.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to Eugene.
Yo.
Oh, I love that. I love the hat. Should I get my We Believe hat? Yeah, in fact, I will. No, I'm gonna get my
Get it out, man. Get it out. That's all we got right now.
I'm gonna get my great timeout hat here.
Wow. All that hats tonight.
Yes, sir. If we get Giannis, I'll come on to the pod with a Lake Up jersey, man. Like, I will customize that and pay whatever.
and pay the rush. Pay the rush to get there too.
I'll pay to deliver it to my house, whatever that costs. I watched 3/4 of tonight's game, so like I'll get just into the game first. Like,
you don't have to. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I will say this: positives, not on the Warriors. I really liked Austin, and I forgot the other guy on the bench being the color commentators on Peacock. If you guys were listening, it worked out well. And
it's kind of cool. I like the idea. It's different.
And him and Ant like going at it, like he was probably talking so much smack about Paz. Now it was just hilarious. I like that. You know, Will Richard has Andre Iguodala like light hands. That showed today too. So respect to that. That's all the positives. The negatives, and I guess this speaks to the broader. I brought this point up before too, but again, we're the only team in the league where our younger guys are like the least athletic guys on the team. And I'm watching this game, and like the main thought that comes to me is our role players are so uninteresting and so boring to watch. Now I know that's like in a very aesthetic thing, but I think it speaks to our drafting and just like Reggie Williams, Jeremy Tyler, Anthony Morrow. Those guys, they had deep holes. They had deep flaws.
Yeah.
But they were very good at one thing. What can Moody do? Can he shoot? Like kinda. Can he dribble? Not really.
He can in January.
Yeah, he can. But again, streaky pods. Can he play make? Kind of. Can he defend? Not really. All like you just go down the list, and it's just like not even a jack of all. It's like a 9 of all trades that are benches. And I think it just like, you know, and maybe this was more Jerry West when he was here, but it's just such safe people. I want safety in my starters, not in my role players, man. I need an X factor. I think Draymond says like you need some guy to swing a series, which I kind of like what he was saying. And I'm just like, man, like, you know, I welcome the trade deadline. I think I spoke about this before. Like, I would actually welcome a clean sweep of all these guys because it's just a collection of, you know, whiteout threes, like these mediocre players that it's so frustrating to watch. And it speaks to the lack of any long-term planning that our GM has had or our office has had other than let's just get safe picks, which they're okay at, but it just doesn't.
I mean,
a team.
I understand why people want to see Kuminga play. 50% of it for me is like, it's not even that I think it's going to work out. It's just that I don't know what he's going to do.
Exactly.
And there's a level of excitement to it. Whereas with a lot of these younger players that they do play, there's no upside to them. I do agree with you on the bigger picture there, which is they went from gambling on toolsy raw athletes who had very low probability chance of working to going to the other opposite extreme of getting like high floor, no ceiling players. And, you know, I would love it if they acted like a normal organization and were able to figure out something between those two extremes. But I do agree with you. Like nights like tonight's just highlight it where it's like, it's nothing about any of them individually. It's just boring. Boring is actually the exact way I'd put it. It's like, how much upside is there in any of these guys? Not that much.
I think that kind of the final point there is the key one to hit, Sam. I think they overcorrected post Wiseman and Kuminga. You know what? Like after the outcome of those two picks, you know, just in a general sense, like obviously Kuminga and Wiseman are different. Kuminga is actually an NBA player, despite what people may think of him. Like I think he has a chance to be a good NBA player one day. Wiseman just isn't an NBA player, flat out. He's not on a team right now. And that's not because of some massive conspiracy or an injury. He was struggling to stay in the league before the Achilles happened. That was just an all-time whiff. But the point is they overcorrected it. But this is a pattern with this front office. Oh, Jordan Poole doesn't work in 2023, and obviously the punch is a factor too. Let's go get Chris Paul because at least he's safe. Like they have this massive tendency to overcorrect based on the most recent crop of information. But not just shows, it shows a lack of experience. And it shows that like they are so scared of like doing the wrong thing again that they will overcorrect in the opposite direction as soon as they possibly can. And it's usually the wrong move to do that.
And you guys have touched on it too, but a lot of it, I think, speaks to once Jerry left the building, there was no one to keep the boat steady. I like how both of you put it. It's just been pendulum swing after pendulum swing with draft picks and stylistically, but to go to like, you know, the Giannis stuff and everything, like, yeah, I would love Giannis. I mean, the cap strains are legit, but, you know, we got Magician Celebrini on the team, so who knows what could happen. But what I do think will happen is this. I do think, and Sam alluded to it, it's going to be, to me, Katie and Jimmy again, where I think it's going to get very close to Giannis. But I do think Giannis is going to say no. Because in my mind, if he wanted to come, he would have come a couple of seasons ago. And I think that window has peeped to almost a closure. My only solace of it is this. I do think once the Giannis trade is made, and I think it'll be made before a deadline, I think it will lower the asking price of all these other people. Like I'm pretty sure Giannis will get 4 picks. You guys correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but if you give Giannis 4 picks, you can't ask 3 for Trey Murphy. Like I don't think any team would be like that. That makes sense. So I am kind of curious if the Giannis trade will cool down the demand for these other players. And my hope, and I think which is most likely, and we'll see when I come back on February 5th. I think we miss out on Giannis, and I think we end up with Trey Murphy. I think we end up 2 draft picks, maybe a pick swap, Kuminga, whatever else it may be. I will say though, if we get Giannis and if we get Ryan Rollins in that package, Lakeup is truly 2 timelines like back on the menu, and I'll buy that immediately. But always good seeing you, boys.
Appreciate you, Eugene.
What do we think Joe's gonna do when Giannis gets moved? Do you think he's gonna pull Michael Scott? Who's just gonna listen to some James Blunt? Just goodbye, my lover on repeat.
Yeah. I can't sing right now, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately for the people listening at home. But yeah, man, I just I don't know. I hope it gets resolved. If they were an actual smart organization, they would honestly get over the Giannis stream right now and just be like, okay, it's not gonna happen. They go get something done before that even occurs. They move kind of silently here. They can maybe get somebody at a lower cost because everybody's focused on Giannis.
Yeah, I would say
you know what I mean?
The one thing I will say is it takes 2, and they're not the only team who's in a weird Giannis holding pattern. Like, seems like a lot of teams are
totally
waiting to see us out. So
but that's kind of my point, right? It's because everybody else is waiting for that. You can go get other things done while everybody's waiting for, the Giannis thing to happen.
All right, so Abdullah. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, dude?
Nothing much. I'm like Eugene. I watched like the first like 3 quarters of that game. And honestly, I was like, man, we should like put a super cut of this together as like just like our proposal for why Steph should be the MVP. Like I was legitimately like I think like 5 or 6 of these guys probably shouldn't be in the NBA. I'm not sure anymore. And look at the Nuggets ripping off wins. I'm tired of like listening to everybody talk about how Jokic is like way better than Steph, and he's like clearly like the MVP every single year. I'm like, they're managing to win games, and like our team can't do anything without Steph Curry.
Peyton Watson
Yeah.
taking the real leap that everybody wanted from Kuminga.
Yeah, what does MVP mean if like your
It's not a good look
games?
for the Peyton Watson thing's not a good look for Mike Malone. I'll tell you that.
No, it isn't. It isn't. So Calvin Booth was actually right. Calvin Booth won the war.
Yeah, did they both get fired? So
as he's unemployed, I don't know if he won the war.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's a good point. Like the crazy part was like I actually liked our offense tonight. You're generating open looks. It's not like Minnesota's a good defensive team, and it's not like we were struggling to create shots for the most part. We had some bad turnovers, but that's going to happen on nights like this where you're down your couple best shot creators. They just could. I mean, I think we shot 25% from 3. I thought they competed hard, but yeah, at the end of the day, you need talent to win in the NBA, and this is. I mean, look, they're top 4 to 5 guys were out tonight, so like you got to take that with a grain of salt. But
of course,
yeah, they weren't even competitive at all. I mean, they competed, like they played hard, I thought, but there just was such a lack of talent out there.
Yeah, and to the other caller's point about like if we have Giannis and how top heavy we'd be, I'm not worried about that for a lot of reasons, but also like there's buyout markets. Like we would be that team again that like the David Wests and everybody else who wants to like win a title. You get good role players. Like we'd be okay if we had to give up some of our depth. I mean, there's going to be like people like maybe like Chris Middleton or other people who are going to get bought out, and you're going to have like options if you're the team that manages to land Giannis. And I know I said it after the Jimmy episode, and it seemed really pie in the sky, but I kind of feel like it might happen. Like I think you're right, Sam. I think he might get traded, and I would give us like I don't know, like a 25-30% chance of actually pulling it off, just because like you said, I don't know who's like the other teams that are contenders, like their offers don't look good to me. Like
No,
Houston,
the teams who can blow the Warriors out of the water based on all current reporting seem uninterested in doing it.
Yeah, like the Rockets, it's all around Şengün. Like, I mean, if I'm the Bucks, I would much rather have future Steph Curry-less Warriors picks than Şengün. Like, if you're building a package around Şengün, that doesn't entice me as much.
I do think it's easy for these teams like the Thunder or the Spurs to say, "Oh, we're not interested in Giannis," to posture that way, and then when the rubber meets the road, and it's like, "Oh, he's actually going to be moved in the next week," you kind of be dumb not to get in on that. Especially like the Thunder are struggling right now, 13-9 in their last, however many games, 22 games, and they don't need to trade for Giannis by any stretch of the imagination, but like if it's going to cost you what? I don't know, Jalen Williams and some picks at the end of the day, and then probably some other young guys. But like, you probably do that to pair Giannis with Shea for the next 5 years. Pairing Giannis with Wemby, we all know that you're probably creating the greatest defense of all time. And like there's big concerns there. But again, like maybe they don't get involved. But I would be shocked if at least one of them doesn't. If he's actually going to be moved.
Yeah, I don't buy. Like, I think the Thunder, I could see them actually just not wanting to shake everything up.
Sure.
They're coming off a title. The Spurs is the one that I'm more nervous about of like, are they really going to sit out the Giannis thing? Are they really like, well, we like our really long runway. We don't want to mess with things. Like maybe that is very San Antonio-ish of them. Like, so it could line up with kind of like the ethos of the org. But they're the one team. But like, again, a lot of the other teams that are like, I mean, theoretically, Atlanta has some good stuff, but does Giannis want to go to Atlanta? Why would he want to go to Atlanta? Like, it makes no sense. Like, and as far as like the Warriors, like they've wanted him forever. And I was watching this game tonight, and my two thoughts were, like I said, man, we have a lot of players who I'm not sure if they're actually NBA guys. But the other thought I had was, man, Minnesota really doesn't want to win this game. Like they're not like I'm looking at the West right now, and like you're talking about how the Thunder are in a bit of a funk. Like the Nuggets, Jokic is out. We don't know what he's going to look like coming back from the injury. Is it going to linger? And I don't like anybody else in the West right now. Like we're not doing so hot, but like I feel like earlier this season it felt like the West was so stacked, and there was like
we're also in the dog days this season, so I do want to call that out. Like there's some good teams there, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
but even with the loss tonight to the Timberwolves, we're only 2.5 games out of 6th, and that's it. Could have been if they would have won tonight. You could have been what?
This makes the Jimmy injury more frustrating because they'd probably be 6th right now.
It is there for the taking. That is, and they've lost 3 out of 4 now without Jimmy, I think. But like, the West is there for the taking. It really, just in terms of like getting into that top 6. And so I think that should actually embolden this front office to say like, let's just get into this thing, man. Like nobody in the West looks unbeatable anymore. They really don't. Let's figure out a way to bolster this roster even without Jimmy. And again, we say this over and over and over again. Nobody wants to see Steph Curry in a playoff series. There's a reason they have never lost in less than 6 games ever since they started making the playoffs. Like he creates such matchup issues and he creates such a unique problem for defenses to solve. They always end up taking a couple games, no matter how much of a talent advantage they seem to be, or talent disadvantage, I should say, they seem to be out at times.
Yeah, I guess my last thought is I'm curious from you guys. Let's say nothing big happens. Let's say Giannis is like not traded at the deadline. Would you lean more towards we make a marginal move or we make no move if Giannis doesn't get traded at the deadline?
They better not make no move. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
They better not make, like, I want to see them. Honestly, I would be okay with them just taking a couple swings on talent that isn't going to tangibly change their playoff odds, but could be something for them in the bigger picture. Because this roster just isn't it. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, they need to take some shots on upgrading the talent in some capacity or another, even if those are begrudgingly moves that have less to do with this season and more to do with like, yeah, this could be a guy for us next year. This could be a guy who give him a year in our system, give him a year of acclimating here. We can figure something out. They got to do something because I honestly, here's my opinion. if they don't make any moves, they're not going to make the playoffs, period.
No, they won't.
I think it's going to be such a gut punch, and you're going to see Steph and Draymond shut it down, and they're just going to free fall, and then we're going to be talking about who they can get with the 11th pick. That's really that's what's going to happen if they don't do something to signal to this team that they want to give them a shot to compete, or at least they just want to mix it up a little bit, do something different.
Yeah.
No,
Go ahead, Abdul.
No, I was just gonna give a funny anecdote. I was like, I totally agree. Like, I ruined my dad's trip across the globe. Like, my parents are on a trip in Turkey right now, so he's watching Warriors games. My dad's like the most diehard Warriors fan ever, and I was talking to him on WhatsApp the other day, and he didn't know Jimmy blew out his knee, and I was explaining it to him, and he was pretty bummed. And his first thing was he was like, "We should just rest Steph." Like, don't even waste him. Like, for the rest of, like, that's how dispirited he was. He was like, I don't even want Steph to get
I mean,
hurt,
it
just
crossed
trying
my
to go
mind.
Superman. Like, truly,
it crossed
he's
my
like,
mind. I get it.
why put the miles on him? Why risk him? Like, that's where my dad is at. So I agree. Like, they have to do something. Otherwise, yeah, it's just not fair to Steph for the rest of the season.
I mean, like Sam said, you got to swing on
Appreciate you,
talent.
Abdullah.
Yeah, you got to swing
Yeah.
on talent here. And I'm not the first person to say this, but like, it should be the talent swing that they make at the deadline. It should be viewed in a similar light to Wiggins in 2021. You know, like, everybody knew that, you know, once Clay went down with the Achilles, they knew they weren't competing. But having Wiggins in the system for that year had him ready to do what he did the next season and helping them win a championship. You would hope that's the same kind of mentality and outlook, if nothing else, that they would take on swinging for a Zion, a LaMelo, a Trey Murphy, whoever it might be. Go buy lowish on some talent, and hopefully you can bring a little bit more out of them than they're already showing.
Yeah, I mean, it gets, I don't want to say it gets forgotten, but like, they got a pick with Wiggins. That's how toxic he was at that moment. 25-year-old, former first overall pick, was not playing good basketball multiple years in a row, but clearly had talent. I wouldn't be mad if they made a move like that. And like, to your point, like, it's weird to think about, but like LaMelo Ball or Zion are like obvious ones where you're just like, oh, the Warriors could never have those guys. Well, I would have said, like, what the fuck were the Warriors doing getting Wiggins? But, you know.
Look, right the wrongs of the 2020 draft. Bring me LaMelo. I know it'd be controversial, and I know he's got his worth as a player, but that dude is one of the most talented offensive players in the league, bar none.
Big Z, what's up, man?
Greetings. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I just had a couple of notes for the game tonight. One being that it was like tied in the first half, and then the refereeing kind of slanted totally against us. At halftime, I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, I think the actual foul shots are probably 14-0. I looked it up. It was actually 14-0 at halftime. I don't think there's any way the NBA would ever let Minnesota lose this game tonight. From the simple stat, obviously okay, before I go into the conspiracy rabbit hole, I just want to preface it by saying, obviously, I know that we're like severely undermanned. We're probably going to lose anyways, but they're on a 5-game losing streak. There was the whole shooting thing a couple days ago in that city, and I know there's like these narratives the NBA kind of wants to give them the feel good moment. So I'm assuming, it's like I don't know. I always felt like we weren't going to win, but I felt like, as limited as we were, like it was kind of 8-on-5 for most of the game. So that's really all I have to say about the game. Other than that, I mean, we all saw it. It wasn't really much. You got Buddy Hield doing Buddy Hield things. I think he shot 2 for 10. I think he had 2 points, and he was like a -20 or something like that. But anyway, so we'll just leave that at that. And I want to say something about Steph, right? So you guys are always talking about, not you, but it's this is constant narrative that let's say the window's closing. He's 38 years old. Like, have you guys ever looked at Steph Curry's mom? Like, I mean, honestly,
I have.
I have. Like, okay, so I go back to
where are we going with this?
Just hear me out. Hear me out. This is all going to make sense, okay? So as good of a NBA player as Del Curry was, his mom was one of the best collegiate volleyball athletes in American history, right? So when she was at all those finals games through, from like, let's say, for example, like 15 to 18, this woman's like 52 looking 29, like straight Vanessa Williams, but without the skin cream, just a natural freak of nature right now. And it's like Steph's 38, but he's got less minutes at 38 than Kobe Bryant had at 33. Right? Because of, he had the 2 years off with the ankle injury. Plus, he's been rigorously minute managed for the last 10 years. He never really played more than 32 and a half minutes a game. right? So it's like I see him having an arc that could be potentially like, TB12 from the standpoint that his skill set scales well into his older years because it's not predicated entirely on athleticism. So I think we're sitting here thinking the window is like 2 years. It could be 4 years, but it's just a question of his mental enthusiasm to want to stick it out with, the front office, which is a paralyzing effect. I mean, when you look at Mike Dunleavy's bone face, he's a cyborg bone face. He does not, I don't think he can get, I don't think he's one of these people where he's going to convince me to do anything I don't want to do. I don't think he has that level of social.
Not Bob Myers.
Yeah, he's not Bob.
Bob in his 50s with zero receding hairline and zero grays. What are you doing, Bob? That can't be
Bob's right. He's like a 6'8" charmer with a 3 head. Like it's no question. It's different vibes. And you got Mike Dunleavy who he's very monotone. And like that one line he had about, Kuminga where he's like, what was his line again about when you make demands that.
Yeah. There has to be demand.
So he's literally he's like reverse glazing his own player, thereby reducing his trade value for God knows what reason. Cause I mean, theoretically it's working against our interests. I don't even know. I mean, so there's that. And then also you guys are talking about Giannis, right? And obviously we would love to have Giannis. I think he has some potentially quasi Achilles issues because in the last 2 seasons, he's going on now 4 calf strains, but we don't know that to be true. That's just my conjecture. I just feel like his play style, as well as he's kind of like a stiff, 2-footed jumper. It might be a thing. And like to think we can get him with 4 firsts when Bane went for 4 firsts. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to want like a San Antonio Spurs kind of package. They're going to want like 4 firsts and 2 to 3 young players to salary match out that deal. Like if we think we can get him for Jimmy deal for Jimmy's, quote unquote dead contract plus picks, I think it's going to be tough. I think we should try to shoot for somebody like MPJ because we can salary match out our spare parts more easily. And then we can actually still have Jimmy potentially come back next year and be useful. I don't think we'll find a sucker for that contract. Like, I just don't see a team taking it. I mean, if you guys do, I'd love to hear it, but do you think someone will take that Jimmy contract?
I'm 100% positive someone will take that Jimmy contract. 110% confident. But I'm not confident it will happen till the summer. Every year we see large expiring contracts get moved just so someone can get out of their cap situation. I'm not concerned about being able to move the contract. Now, can they move it at the deadline? That's a different story. But
I just have one question for you guys too after. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, finish your answer.
I was just going to say, like, teams are always looking for short-term outs of money. So Jimmy will offer a big out for people next year. You might not get what you want for him, but like, it's not an unmovable contract. If it was a 4-year contract, we'd have a different story, but it's not. So
it's $55 million expiring, as soon as the summer hits. So like Sam said, and you might not even find a taker over the summer necessarily. It might be a team whose season doesn't go the way they want. Now they're just trying to get off money and tank kind of earlier in the next season. Like I could see that happening as well. But I do think the point on Steph is interesting. His mom genes notwithstanding. But his trainer, Brandon Payne, has talked about how like he's always kind of been a late bloomer, physically. Like he entered the NBA, weighed 165 pounds soaking wet. And he seems to be, I think he's nowhere near the level of quickness and athleticism that he was at his peak. But everything over the last 4 to 5 years seems to have like leveled off essentially. Like his athleticism has declined since like the late 2010s, but like it hasn't seemed to like affect his production at all because he's so maniacal about keeping his conditioning where it's at. He's added new wrinkles to his game. He's a more efficient shot creator now in this sense of he doesn't need as many moves. Like it's a little head fake here, it's a little push off here, and he creates a space for the shot. Whereas it used to be he's going to string together an 8 dribble combo and he's going to have a gargantuan amount of space. The space is less, but he still creates the same shots and he makes them at nearly the same rate. So I don't think it's a bad point. Like you said, it's going to come down to my biggest worry with the now Jimmy injury is actually like, obviously it sucks for Jimmy. We all love watching Jimmy play. Like I feel terrible for the guy, but my bigger concern in a way is that if the Warriors don't get, aggressive over the next 12 to 18 months, it sends Steph to an early retirement. And that's it's a sad fate to think about. But I think that's on the table because you saw how much life the Jimmy trade injected into him. I don't think he's going to stick around for 5 years doing a farewell tour. Like he'll just retire.
Facts. He's got too much pride.
Yeah, he's got too much pride. And
Let me ask you one question about Steph. This is something that I don't know if you guys have thought about. So pretty much like from a physiological standpoint, there's something called max VO2, which is the maximum amount of oxygen that your blood can carry, and it always decreases steadily with age over the age of 32 to 35. Now, when you take a soccer player like Cristiano Ronaldo, he consciously lost weight and got skinnier as he got older because he wanted to maintain his foot speed. Now, Steph is probably, I would say, 7 to 10 pounds heavier now than he was in 2016. Maybe that's predicated on he's playing more physical style. Do you think as he ages out, it would be advantageous for him to get a little leaner again, just to keep himself more quote unquote mobile, like from a foot, like from let's say from a foot speed standpoint? Because I feel like being heavier as you age is just going to make it harder. Yeah, what do you think?
It's a thought I've bounced around in my head many times. It's something that Tim Duncan did as he aged. Kobe did the same thing. I don't know, because my argument would be yes in a vacuum. I think it's smarter to drop some weight as you age, keep the pressure off your joints, just make it easier to move. But it doesn't. He's gone the opposite direction, and it hasn't seemed to matter. And I do have faith in his, obviously his team. They are always thinking about these things. They are trying to be cutting edge. They are trying to be innovative. So at this point, I kind of just, whatever they're thinking, whatever they're kind of pursuing, it seems to be the right move.
Okay. I'm going to say no. Echoing most of what Tommy's saying, traditionally, yes, the older you get, the more it benefits you to lean out to deal with the fact that you have more inflammation. It's easier to stay at the speed you need to be at if you cut some weight. Steph's a different athlete. Steph doesn't really need that much space. I actually think being stronger helps him just get to his spots because he's got the best hand-eye coordination of any athlete of all time. So literally, I think it benefits him. And I don't necessarily see any reason for us to consider that until we start seeing him being unable to get a shot off. If we reach a point where Steph just simply cannot get a shot off because he's too slow, then we start talking about it. But since that hasn't happened, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter how he's guarded.
I'm just talking about buying him time, though. We got to buy him time because these guys, the front office is dragging their feet since 2022. I'm graying out in my own living room watching this shit, just like you are, bro. I need another chip, man. So we all need this shit. So hopefully something happens, man. Do you think we're gonna make a move? Do you actually think something's gonna happen?
I do, and we're gonna end it here. Big Z, appreciate you. I think we'll see. We got 10 days to the trade deadline. I'm cautiously optimistic that they're gonna make a move. That's why we went into the Giannis stuff so much. Not because I necessarily think Giannis is gonna be the move. I just think it's going to be a very active 10 days, and I'm going to be thoroughly disappointed if we get to the other side of it and we don't see anything.
I'd be pretty shocked if nothing happens. I don't think they can seriously look Steph in the face and say we're not going to do anything. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting 10 days, like we said. I think we'll ramp up some of the trade discussions over the next week and a half here, but I'm excited for it. I do think they're going to get something done here over the next 10 days.
Later, everyone.
Appreciate everybody.